Welcome back to New Rockstars. Despite all the many surprise cameos, Spider-Man No Way Home was one major Marvel cameo actually removed from this film that might have made Tobey and Andrew's arrivals a bit more monumentous than just Ned Leeds accidentally pushing them into his man's living room. This is Rogue Theory. Folks, we are back in 2022. Is this technically the third season of Rogue Theory? Is that where we're drawing the line? This is a show where we pitch the wildest theories for the nerdy titles we love. And right now, that biggest nerdy title is Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm here with three of my favorite nerds. I'm Erik Voss. Going rogue with me today is the always amazing Jessica Clemons. Right back to you. And swinging in from the Twitchverse, it's Angelica Trae.
Hi, it's good to be back. Hi, everybody.
Hi, I love your background. It's so dreamy
you.
and starry. And I'm going to catch one of those falling stars, put it in my pocket. I'd love it. But also, from his own glorious background, look at that lighting. My God. Sorcerer Supreme, host of the Filmlosophers podcast, it's Eddie Villanueva.
What is up, guys? It's good to be back. Good to be in the new year, spending it with some good old-fashioned nerds. And yeah, let's get into this.
We are some old-fashioned nerds. We are, for sure. We are a couple Spider-Man noirs here,
Definitely.
But we have some modern sensibilities as we read Variety. That's one of the old traits. But anyway, Variety reported this week in an interview with the No Way Home screenwriters that originally the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield variants of Peter Parker were actually going to be brought in by a completely different process, a different Marvel character, not by Ned's accidental magic. So I'm going to just read what Variety wrote here. They said, at first they had planned a very different introduction for Maguire and Garfield's Peters. They arrived just after the death of Peter's Aunt May, more on that in a bit, but not by happenstance. Quote, they are brought in by a Marvel character going, here are the saving graces and they're going to help you through this, according to Chris McKenna, though he declines to say which character it was. It was just more of a deus ex machina. Now, for those of you who aren't up to date on your Greek drama terms, deus ex machina translates to God from the machine. If you watch Matrix Resurrections, you'd be an expert in this. His company's named Deus Machina. But it means God from the machine. It's how they would use, cranes to lower in gods from the heavens to rescue characters from their crises. And really, it just refers to any time you bring in a late in the story character just from above to rescue characters through some random inexplicable means. In Toy Story 3, they had like a fun nod to this where the Claw came back and literally rescued them as a Deus Ex Machina. But here they're referring to it as there's some mystery Marvel character from the heavens, some kind of godly spirit who just recognizes Peter's pain and says, I know of the best people from the Spider-Verse who can help you get through this. So I want to ask you guys who this Marvel cameo could be. Why was he so cagey about who this character would be? Let's run through some options together. So I want to start with the idea of, could this just have been Doctor Strange? He spent this whole part of the movie strung up in the Grand Canyon in the mirror dimension, but was he originally going to play a bigger role in the second and third act of this movie? Could he have been the character who helped out Peter here?
So really quick, we're assuming that the entire second and third act changed. So he's not upset about there being more people in the world. Because I guess in this situation, he probably wouldn't welcome the other two Peters to console him because he'd be like, we need to send them back. I know your mom just died, but I need to send them back. So we're assuming that he
recognized that the mess has already happened and he's like, well, now that these guys are already here, maybe they can help you in ways that I can.
Or a possibility of it being an out of time Stephen Strange, kind of like the nega Stephen Strange in another time frame or timeline.
Strange. I like
and
that.
Coming in and saying, I've seen how this plays out. Let me help you here.
I like that idea a lot, Eddie. Yeah, we saw in the Multiverse of Madness teaser that there totally is going to be multiple Stephen Stranges that he comes into contact with in that movie. Maybe they could have already started to introduce that here. Maybe in this movie we think it's just Doctor Strange, but at the end of it, it's going to be revealed, actually, that wasn't me. I was strung up here the whole time. So if I was here, who was there? Old Man Strange! And they pull off a mask, and then Scooby-Doo, this shit comes back. I don't know. But yeah, good theory. Good theory.
I like that one because, Doctor Strange just seemed so stubborn in No Way Home that the only plausible explanation, if it was Strange, is it's a different Strange.
Yeah, like to me, the most telling part of this Variety interview is that like they're reluctant to say who it was. Like if it was just something as simple as like we want something different to happen with Doctor Strange, so it means like if it was Doctor Strange or whoever it was, it means that there's some upcoming title that these two writers don't want to reveal
100.
anything to yet. That there's some kind of plot thread
100%.
from Marvel, so it could be Doctor Strange. But let's bring up the co-star of Multiverse of Madness, Scarlet Witch, as an option. Someone who understands grief probably better than anyone in the Marvel universe at the moment.
I would believe
Could
that
she
one
have
more
been the
so.
one?
I believe that one more so, especially because, and we talked about this on Monday, that I was like, Scarlet Witch has so much remorse, I think, still now that she's like hiding. She still feels bad about what she's done and she recognizes what she's done, that I wouldn't, but I still think she would be willing to emotionally be there for someone else, even if it meant breaking a little bit of the like law. So I think she would definitely have been like, you'll be okay. This is who, and he knows who she is, so it's not like it's new, but I feel like that could be someone that could have came out of hiding and helped him find himself after that death, because she knows death. So that's the one I'm standing with.
I mean, imagine that cameo right there. Like, it probably wouldn't be through a sparkle portal. She would just like be a voice from the shadows, or just like her hand, like her black colored hand, would just like land on Peter's shoulder and be like, "Ugh, what the hell?" And then kind of like the way he reacted to Strange in the dungeon, and instead you turn around and it's Elizabeth Olsen, Wanda Maximoff. I mean, that would have been, I would have stood up and started screaming in the theater if she appeared in this movie that way, or anyway, right?
Yeah. Oh man, I would definitely see that with her level of empathy too, where she would probably hear out Tom Holland's Spider-Man and say, you know what, I like this redemption arc, I will help you out.
Let me help you with the storyline. Let me help you with that storyline.
Yeah, let's further this along.
Let's unbox
Let's get you more movies. Let's get you more movies.
Let's get you more movies.
I like that idea.
Oh, go ahead, Eddie.
Oh, sorry. I like that idea. I like the idea that Wanda Maximoff is finally coming into her own as her impact as a character throughout the entire Marvel comic universe, that we're finally seeing her get to the stage where she is on equal footing. So it'd be really great. It would have been really great to have Wanda in there, especially to set up Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. Thematically, I think we're all realizing that this is exactly what Wanda's been trying to do, right? We saw her at the end of WandaVision flipping through the Darkhold. We assume trying to find her kids somewhere in the multiverse. And if that is what her objective was in that moment, that's exactly what she would want to do for Peter here. Now, we don't know how much she knows Peter Parker. They were fighting in the same battle in Avengers Endgame, but I don't think they've ever said any words to each other. But at this point, she has to be aware of him.
Civil War, right? In the battle scene.
Oh, that's right. They did fight in that battle as well.
It was quick.
But it was kind of like, he's this dope swinging over here. I'm going to fight these guys over here. I don't know if they've ever, I'm blanking right now. I don't think they've ever actually talked to each other. But these are two characters I got to see talk to each other sometime soon, you know?
Yeah.
That would be great if she kind of takes over that parenting mother role that Aunt May left, with him. Like, she's just like, he's a young boy. He reminds me of my son. my invisible son, and he's like,
she should adopt Peter Parker and Ned and MJ. Like,
do you know
I
how
lost
sweet
Billy
that
Tobey,
would
but
be?
you'll be my children.
My
They're
heart.
I would cry in theaters if she even got like, if she was like, I had a son like you once. I'd be like, oh, I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they just
oddly enough,
leave
even if
a
they go the
trail
direct
of crumbs over to Wanda's house. They're like, I don't trust this lady, and then they throw her in an oven.
No.
Or it'd be interesting as well, like in the kind of sisterly vibe, she says, I had a brother who was just like you.
Oh yeah.
And then going that route, seeing as currently with, that would be an interesting take as well
100.
if they do create that kind of familial kind of vibe. So.
Yeah. I think that's a huge theme with Wanda, right? Is family and then the grief of that. And so I definitely think she's willing to go through any lengths in order to have someone that feels like family or bring back a family. So yeah, I could see that.
She comes out, I don't got friends, I got family.
Oh god. Oh god.
And then it's Too Fast, Too Furious.
There you go.
She's speeding in that Ferrari.
I'm trying to keep it within the Wizard family for now. Right now, Wang is someone who left early on in the story, and Wang is the Sorcerer Supreme. Could he have been someone who helped out Peter Parker in this moment? Because as we saw in the movie, he did not deny Strange the opportunity to do this spell. He just said, leave me out of it.
True.
And then he disappeared from the rest of the movie. would it have been interesting if this Sorcerer Supreme Wang could have brought over these Peter Parkers to help Tom in this moment?
I think Wang was so fleeting in the film, but it would be really funny if he just popped out of a portal and went, "Fine, I'll help you out," and then like just went back in and just started doing his stuff, you know, like going back to it. That would be really silly, and honestly, I could see him doing that type of thing just because his character is so serious, but he does some really funny stuff.
Do we see him return, or is it supposed to jump to the Shang-Chi part where he goes and gets... Do you know what I'm talking about? Because at the end of Shang-Chi, he shows up and gets them.
I think Shang-Chi takes place before No Way Home. I think Shang-Chi takes place over the summertime.
It does. Sorry.
Yeah,
because he's going to the... Okay, got it.
He's just a busy sorcerer. He's running around.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
all over.
The guy's everywhere. I just want to know if Wong could have had some relationship with Ned's Nana. You know, like Ned supposedly through his family lineage had some magic, which it's one of my gripes with this movie is it does change the way magic is supposed to work in the MCU. It's supposed to be like you go to Kamartaj, you just train for months and months and years, and eventually you get it. Strange was able to expedite that because he has a photographic memory as he studies at nighttime. But like the fact that Ned just through his like Harry Potter bloodline or whatever could suddenly do magic, that's not how magic is supposed to work. It's supposed to be an art that you can train at for a long time.
Well, maybe that means what? Oh no, sorry. I was like, maybe that gives reason to why he's so important. Like Ned has to be like one of the most important people now in the franchise. The fact that it's just in him.
Well, I think there's an opportunity there, like where Ned, since the multiverse is ripped open, he mentioned in the movie, are there other Ned leads out there? Could Ned, through some other timeline, been brought up as a sorcerer for years and years and years, and now that the rift has opened up, he is now connecting with that person's magic in the way that Peter Parker, through Spidey sense, seems to have an elevated Spidey sense because the other Peters are in the universe right now. This is kind of like a convergence event, and Ned, as a sorcerer in another timeline, is now like tapping into that. So he doesn't need to. This Ned, he still kind of sucks at it, but it has an ability to open up portals just on a low level.
I like
I'm
that.
Reaching. I'm totally reaching right now.
I know. I like that a lot, though.
It's a good reach.
Yeah, because that opens up so many possibilities within other multiversal, versions of the same character too.
Yeah, that sounds sick.
Yeah.
Could this create X-Men?
Yes. The answer to that
There
question
we
is
go.
always yes. In every video that I do at New Rockstars, could this create the X-Men? Yes. The answer is yes. They already exist. Thank you.
I want to see X-Men as bad as you, Eric. I'm like, bring them in.
And that's kind of my mindset in terms of also thinking about how these two got into this particular situation. And I mean, what if that particular, very well-spoken person who said that line was, Professor Xavier? Like, what if there was a way where that was a possibility and you don't actually see him because he's floating on his wheelchair and then he just poof goes away into the next multiverse? Because we know that that's also a part of the X-Men storyline, and Professor Xavier has his hand in, as well as, Magneto, in different timelines and so forth. So that would be an interesting intro into that X-Men
fun.
universe.
That would... I mean, absolutely. Every time a portal opens in the MCU, part of me dies when it's not one of the X-Men,
True.
Like, oh, please, can it just be Professor Xavier? It would force Xavier to be an expert in the multiverse, which when we left Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, those guys didn't know shit about any multiverse. They knew about time travel from Days of Future Past, but unless we introduce a new Professor X, right? If we recast him, have a new Professor X, and this guy's also a multiverse expert, I feel like one of these Fox property characters who will be a sudden multiverse expert, I think all of us will have no trouble buying, would be Reed Richards, right? So if Reed Richards comes in, this guy probably knows more about multiverse science than most characters who they bring in. But I think you're onto something there. I hope we see that in Multiverse of Madness at least, I wanted to ask you guys, is there a chance that, still trying to keep it in the Wizard family for now, the Ancient One, we saw the Ancient One come back in What If, right? And was kind of this ghostly presence from across timelines. Could the Ancient One as a ghost, someone who also knows quite a bit about grief and quite a bit about moving on from death, as she was able to teach to Strange in my favorite scene in the Doctor Strange film, could her spectral presence have been the one to introduce Tom Holland Peter to his other variants.
I think Aunt May dying is his absolute point. I don't think him meeting the other variants of himself is. So I don't think the Ancient One would have came back, because it's not like Aunt May dying was like a needed point. All of them have someone that dies. So I think she's like, unless Aunt May survived, I think that would bring the Ancient One back to be like, she's gotta die.
Yeah.
But I don't think involving the other two Parkers was even a part. She's like, everyone die. Like, you don't need to see them. Like, you just need this person to die. So I don't think so.
That's a really good point in terms of that absolute point that the Ancient One speaks about in the What If series, giving a whole new kind of mindset towards all those big moments in comic book history as well as MCU history. What are some of those absolute points throughout the last 20 plus films that we've been seeing, and seeing if there's some kind of mysticism behind the scenes of what's going on, so that happens. So I really do agree. I think the fact of the matter is that her appearance would have probably been more to enforce that absolute point as opposed to giving comfort after the fact.
Sure.
Giving comfort.
Yeah.
She doesn't know comfort.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, plus we have a tendency with these, very wise characters to trust the process, right? So we saw a lot of that with What If and the Watcher. So I could totally see that, unless the Watcher somehow intervened, like in this alternate, I don't know, movie line. I don't know if that's
That
a
would be
thing,
kinda
but
cool.
if
That'd be sick.
Watu,
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Let there be
Watcher
Peters.
Would be a fun one. Yeah, the way he ended What If, how he suddenly just let Natasha Romanoff transfer timelines. Like, the guy's clearly like, I'm not supposed to intervene, but this is a pretty huge intervention.
Yeah.
If he let her do that, I feel like he would be totally okay with Peters meeting other Peters.
all right.
But let's look at, this is still a Sony movie, right? And we had that huge moment where we saw all these Sony-verse characters appear in the Purple Rifts. And in the video that we released earlier this week, I pointed out how one very much looks like a seated Madam Web. Madam Web seems like the ideal badass cameo who would introduce Peter to other Peters. That's her whole thing. She's like, meet all the Peters, and you're stronger together. So could this have been the psychic mutant Madam Web? And then at some point, Sony and Marvel were like, you can't put her in this movie yet.
Yeah, they would be like, that's too crazy, because I was about to be like, she's a mutant. So that would be our introduction. Is through
They
Madam
don't have to call her a mutant. Wanda
That is true,
Maximoff's a
that is
mutant
true.
too. They didn't call her a
Oh,
mutant.
that's
true.
true. That's
True.
true. That's true. That's true. Then yeah, that'd be fun, but that'd be so much to add into a very new character that everyone.
pretty
it's
wild.
like, this is a completely new character. But she's cool. I'm very into her. Not
I mean,
knocking
imagine
her
Helen
completely.
Mirren, Madam Web. We'd all lose our freaking minds.
Oh my God.
I'd be like, Helen Mirren.
That would
all
be
be
the best
swimming.
thing ever. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be
that would
very
be really cool, but I don't know. Just what Jessica said, they threw in so many new characters into the Tom Holland verse that, yeah, I think it might have been a little overwhelming, though it would have been cool.
Yeah.
I mean, post-credit scene. Post-credit scene. That's all. You just shove all your weird shit in the post-credit scene. We're all fine with it.
Yeah, they're like, here's a new character. Here's
Honestly, sometimes I'm just paying to go see the post-credit scene. I am literally just like, yeah, I care about the movie, but I care more about that post-credit scene.
I mean, that's
Very
the business
true.
model for like 90% of the MCU. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
for clues.
The credits start rolling. You're like, all right, now's my time. You actually pull out the
time
have to
popcorn.
go
now. Yeah, I was
opening
like, now
night to see
to
the
finally eat
post-credit
my
scene.
hot dog. Now to
There you go.
finally eat my food.
The coldest hot dog.
Speaking of wizardry and magic and so forth, and still on that kick, because one of the things that really got me from that article was, like I said, the very well spoken, spokenness of that individual. And another person that we know of that speaks very well, that just had a really great stint in his own series. What if the possibility that the two Peters were brought in by Loki during the course of everything going on? He does have the ability to travel through different timelines, and maybe at some point in time, he's gotten to a point to where he's able to help, more as, somebody who has access to that, and brought those two in to help Peter.
I was thinking about that, Eddie, with the TVA's work. I was like, what if they were trying to like bring in the TVA slightly in No Way Home, and that was the way to do it, was through Loki?
Yeah.
But then I don't know. But I would love it to be.
No, I mean,
Loki's
theory-wise, I think you're totally right. Like either Loki or Sylvie, or I mean, think of it this way: Kang. Like Kang comes in,
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey, you need some help," and then, but it's really he's got like some mischievous intentions behind that. The only issue with that is recently there was an interview this week where the screenwriters are like, No Way Home was pretty locked in before that Loki finale happened. We had no idea that was happening. But like, our headcanons can make this true.
Exactly.
Eddie, Jessica, Angelica, you and I just
or we could just hear like,
headcanons
wow,
make
and
it
then,
real.
the Peters come in too.
It's just Mobius.
Wow.
Just, wow. Oh,
Look at the Peters. Wow.
This has been a rich, fascinating conversation. Exactly the conversation I want to have on the first Rogue Theory of the new year. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's see. Jessica, you had some great thoughts here. I'm going to give you 2 Roguies.
Thank you.
I love your takes there. Angelica, I'm going to give you 1 Rogie. You had some great takes as well. But Eddie, I think overall you probably had a couple really amazing takes there. The idea of not only the TVA possibly coming in, but Charles Xavier coming in, and ultimately the first out of the gate, this idea of it being an alternate Strange. I mean, I think that if I had to say, like, these screenwriters, the toys they had in their toy box, who they most likely, I think a Strange missing from the second act of this movie is probably if you're gonna have some harmony and some balance in your movie, I think you'd want Strange to be in that second act there. But all these are awesome ideas, and I want to talk more about the Spider-Verse going forward, specifically with the news this week that Morbius, the Jared Leto Living Vampire movie, was delayed. And we have a lot of questions about what the hell is going on in that movie. Before we get to those, of course, we have a new latest Obsession shirt inspired by the book of Boba Fett, available at newrockstarsmerch.com. It has an awesome design, comes in 3 colors, officially the best shirt to wear while climbing out of a Sarlacc pit. Find those shirts and all of our great merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. And we have some sponsors we want to thank this episode. Thank you to Sunbasket for sponsoring us. Old habits die hard, so if you're looking to kick off the year with new healthy eating habits, you can get a quick start with Sunbasket meals. Sunbasket delivers the joy of eating with bold flavors, organic produce, and sustainable seafood and meats. Their award-winning chefs are constantly innovating with new recipes to keep it interesting each week with dozens of options. Sunbasket's fresh and ready meals are a perfect hot lunch hack. Heat and eat in minutes, and you can put dinner on autopilot with easy-to-prep meal kits that impress for date night or win over the picky eaters in your family. Plus, they've got healthy snacks or grab-and-go breakfast items for busy mornings. Whether you eat vegetarian, paleo, gluten-free, or low carb, Sunbasket is something to check any and every box. You can choose from delicious recipes like pan-seared salmon, tikka masala over superfood rainbow quinoa, honey balsamic glazed chicken with worm cabbage apple salad, or chipotle barbecue tofu salad with black beans and honey mustard vinaigrette. Set up weekly delivery, skip a week whenever you need to. It's simple, easy, and you will love it. Right now, Sunbasket is offering $90 off and a free gift when you order. Go to sunbasket.com/rogue and enter promo code rogue at checkout. That's sunbasket.com/rogue and enter promo code rogue. And we want to thank ExpressVPN for sponsoring this episode. You might not know this, but Netflix has different content available to users depending on where they are located. Watching Netflix without ExpressVPN is like paying for a gym membership but only being able to use a treadmill, which is the only thing I use at the gym because I'm afraid of the big scary things that are complicated, and I got these jack dudes who are just staring at me like, I don't wipe the sweat off anything, but I'm gonna use my sweat rag, puny little But anyway, that's why I don't do gyms. But those of you who do, it's like ExpressVPN lets you change your online location so you can control where you want Netflix to think you're located. They have almost 100 different server locations so you can gain access to thousands of new movies and shows. This works with other streaming services like BBC iPlayer, YouTube, and more. Personally, I sometimes feel like I've watched all of Netflix at this point. It's just really nice to be able to click a few buttons and boom! I have a whole new Netflix to watch. So you open up the app, select a location, tap 1 to connect, and then you refresh a page to access the geo-restricted show that you watched. ExpressVPN has the added benefit of encrypting your data so that you can browse that web securely. So be smart. Stop paying full price for streaming services and only getting access to a fraction of their content. Get your money's worth at expressvpn.com/rogue. Don't forget to use our link at expressvpn.com/rogue to get that extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. Let's move on to Morbius, the Living Vampire movie that just got delayed. Sony announced that they were delaying their Jared Leto Morbius Spider-Verse film from January to April 1st, reportedly as a response to the massive success of Spider-Man No Way Home and a hope to have another major title in the second financial quarter of the year since No Way Home is doing so good. It's like, do shareholders not understand just how these things work? Like, they're like, oh, you are a successful company in the second half of the year. Are shareholders just freaking goldfish who don't understand that movie releases. It all just happens. All money coming in. I'm sorry. I hate how the financial world works. It's stupid. But anyway, that's supposedly why they did it. Now, we hoped that No Way Home would end with a bit of clarity as to which part of the Spider-Verse Morbius takes place in. But the movie looks like some mix of elements from the MCU, like Michael Keaton coming back as Vulture, as well as the Andrew Garfield continuity, because we saw the Oscorp Tower that is the exact same version of the tower that we saw in the 2014 and 2012 film, as well as the Tobey Maguire continuity, because we did see that graffiti of Spider-Man as a murderer, but it is the Raimi era of the Spider-Man suit. And then there's a version of the Daily Bugle that is none of these. It's some crappy, poorly designed prop that I have gone off on Twitter. But I want to ask you guys, now that we have seen Spider-Man No Way Home, we saw how that movie ended, how it supposedly reset the universe by including this memory wipe spell, and no one knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man now. But how do you justify what we saw in No Way Home with what seems to be the logic of Morbius' universe as a result of Doctor Strange's multiverse spell? What is going on in Morbius?
Dude.
Okay, hear me out.
Thank God.
Oh, wait.
Angelica, go. No, go.
Okay.
Go.
I was like, you go first.
Absolutely not.
I don't know if this is super duper wacky, but what if it was an Oscorp bat that got out and it was one of the bats out of the dozens, thousands of bats that flew at Morbius and turned him into what he is? So it's like an Oscorp bat from that Tobey Spider universe.
I love that theory, because that's how Oscorp's they're always trying to experiment on those animals to get some serum to make Chris Cooper less dead.
Exactly. So he's like the spooky bat version of Spider-Man.
Interesting. You get a rogie just for that.
That's a really good theory, and I don't want to follow it. So Eddie,
you have to.
Can I not pitch anything?
Just says, okay, Eddie now.
Cool. You guys, my stove's on fire. I gotta go. I gotta get out.
Let it burn.
I
we
feel,
have to fix this.
I feel like we're gonna be seeing like an incorporation of the Into the Spider-Verse kind of logic. How there are, even though Kingpin had all these different things going on when he hit that whatever it was, the device that created the multiverse trying to show up, and him trying to save his wife and kid. And we see remnants of it even after that device got shut down. We still saw remnants of that multiverse kind of almost like aesthetic in certain parts of it. So what if, utilizing that same aesthetic, we see glimpses throughout Morbius of talking about that huge change, that huge thing that happened. They'll probably put a name to it and talk about how ever since that glitch or whatever, that this is there, and this, we have pictures, kind of like in that Daily Bugle that's in the trailer. We have pictures of this Spider-Man, but this Spider-Man doesn't look like this Spider-Man, and so because of the fact that those glimpses are there and those glitches, I feel like certain remnants and things like that are going to follow suit, like the designs and things like that. Mine's a little bit lower down than Angelica's, but I think in terms of like the basic logic for movies, I feel like it would be pulling from that, because it's a winning formula already. So
I think what's tough is like, would people recognize that a glitch in the Matrix has occurred? Would they just accept their reality as it now is? I mean, we're already playing with people's memories.
True.
So like, as part of that memory reset, do they just accept that there is an Oscorp tower here, but there's also a Vulture here, and he's always been the Vulture? I mean, we all just kind of accepted that J. Jonah Jameson was the same guy. It's like, he's just J.K. Simmons. That's always been who J. Jonah Jameson is in the MCU, but also in the Raimiverse. Is that the logic they're going to use for Michael Keaton as Vulture?
Or they're all experiencing the Mandela effect and they piece it together eventually.
Eventually
they're like,
the ones and twos there.
Hey.
Yeah. Because even in the one of the things that I noticed, especially with J. Jonah Jameson, since you brought that up, was in the beginning we see him doing his broadcast in his garage of sorts, half in shorts and everything, and green screen, and then like just a little bit later we see him and he's got like a full-fledged studio and everything.
Right.
After the fact, I don't remember if that's before or after when the spell gets messed up. But what if that was a part?
It was because he was starting making more money trashing Spider-Man. Just over the course of a couple months of doing that. Because like that scene happened in the summertime, and then we jumped ahead like a few months, and I think he also has like a helicopter now,
Mhm.
you know. But
He's doing well.
Something has changed.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely reset when he didn't know who Spider-Man was anymore. So like, and we know based off of that spell, it wasn't just they lobotomized them. Like
No.
this was like Back to the Future photo fades. This was Hermione Granger Obliviate. You know, like photos changed, physical shit around this world, documents changed, videos were scrubbed from the internet. Like, and people's experiences must have been warped in a specific way that no longer had an unmasked Spider-Man in them. Either that Spider-Man in their memory was masked, or like all of Ned's memories where he was hanging out with Peter in some kind of Spider-Man context were warped, so that he was either hanging out with a masked Spider-Man in those stories, or he was just sitting by himself in a room staring at a wall playing with Legos. Like,
Oh, that's bleak.
the logic is loose.
Yeah.
Loose! Logic's loose. But in that loose logic, we can fill in the gaps however the hell we want. That's what I love
True.
about that refrigerator.
Is there any confirmation as to like what part of the timeline Morbius takes place? Because what if all this is happening before even the spell gets, taken place?
Possible.
that'd be fine.
That's
You know?
possible. Yeah, all we know is that he knows that someone named Venom exists.
Yeah.
Right? And that there is a criminal played by Michael Keaton who says, "What's up, Doc?"
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think the Venom thing is the telling thing. Like, enough people in this world know who Venom is for him to make that joke. So like, that's telling. I think honestly, from Sony's perspective, this is just they have their universe, and then they have these other movies that they share with the MCU. And I think all they know is that there's a dividing line between those that they just kind of bridged with No Way Home. But like, I think that's why they have Oscorp Tower in there. It's like, hey, we have our universe of things. We're still allowed to put Oscorp Tower in the skyline of our universe. We're still allowed to reference Venom. We can do this, 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 and this. So I think in their eyes, it's all like the Garfield universe. It's
The Garfield
Venom is
universe.
part of that as well.
For some reason, I immediately thought about the cat Garfield and not Andrew Garfield. Sorry.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's a tale of two
The mashup
kitties.
we need.
There you
honestly.
go.
Tale of two Spideys. Aww. The
A tale of two shitties.
So Angelica, well, it's like the Three Bears. Angelica's pretty spot on good. We got Eddie with a grounded, still good. And then I'm gonna come with some batshit shit. So some batshit shit.
Literally?
I think
She's like, so Batman, you see,
Morbius, he takes a poop. No, okay, so I think, and after you said the Venom thing, it kind of blows a hole in my theory, which I'm a little irritated that you brought up because I forgot.
Rude.
but what if, so Morbius is dark and gloomy, right? We already saw the aesthetic of what it's giving us, and I really like the Spider-Man graffiti. And you know what the last time he did a graffiti for? Iron Man. What if this is homage to a dead Spider-Man? So I think in this universe, Spider-Man died. And I don't think, and I also, when you're thinking Spider-Man's dead, you kind of think, what's going to happen with the villains that are supposed to go against Spider-Man? It's like, would it be really chaotic, or would some people just not be as crazy? So I was thinking Oscorp is just normal Oscorp in this world. It's like, it's still doing its science stuff. It's not evil. It's not whatever. It's just Oscorp. It's like a science building. But the Spider-Man that was in this universe is now dead. So people are just giving an homage to that Spider-Man that was in that suit. And then we have the hero, anti-hero, yeah, that is Morbius. That's like, I am going to save people and I'm going to save the world. So I think in this universe, to try to make and piece together what could possibly happen, and I know I always wish for Spider-Man to die, but I think in this universe, this Spider-Man is dead. I don't think he exists. And before
The
you come at me
consistency
again,
that you
I
have.
stay on brand. I stay on brand.
It's on brand.
He needs to die. No, I'm joking. He doesn't need to die. But I just think in this universe, in Morbius's, this one is dead. And I think after the spell, it might have taken people back to where they were, but there was no Spider-Man in this one because he's dead.
I'm going to give you a Rogie for originality and in truth to yourself. Because that's an important thing in this world.
There you go.
It's consistency.
Staying true to your brand.
Thank you, Voss.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I don't think
Voss.
Sony will ever do that until there's like a narrative reason. But I want that's simpler. It does answer questions, you know? It's just, I think realistically when Morbius happens, they're not going to answer any of this. It's going to be its own weird story with Jared Leto being a vampire that kind of references things, but has no real internal logic with how these things connect. because like Spider-Man No Way Home barely has logic, and that movie is very much about the logic. They have a lot of fun with the logic, but the moment you start to question it, it does start to fall apart. It's just they win us over so hard with these cameos that we don't care, and that's the magic of the movie.
Yeah,
the movie is very magical, so I don't
There
care.
you
But I feel like we might care in Morbius.
go. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a tiny bit.
But yes, I think we did we exhausted this as much as we can until another Morbius trailer comes out with some
Very
other
true.
weird cameo of Andrew Garfield in it. Right? I think that's one way they can fix the magic. If you just cast Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man in this universe, guys, it'll just work.
And have
It'll
him
work.
deny it for about 8 months. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Right? Just do that again. You have 3 months, Sony, to reshoot. Just have one scene. Just have one scene where Andrew Garfield's skateboarding in the background to Kingdom Come by Coldplay, and we'll be fine.
There you go.
Well, we now have to move on to our rogue questions, guys. We had a crazy episode of the Book of Boba Fett this week. I loved it so much. And one of my favorite parts was that they brought in a Wookiee by the name of Black Chrysanthemum, who comes from the Darth Vader comics, the Dr. Aphra comics. He's a big boy, and he's got a whole story behind him. And they added just this other weird little backstory where he's like, look, these are not the death pits of Dur, and I'm not a sleeping Trandoshan guard, which is just some other adventure that the two of them went on, or maybe just Black Chrysanthemum went on. I want to know what embarrassing story that Boba Fett was alluding to piss off that giant Wookiee in that moment. What happened to get them into those death pits that was so humiliating to Black Chrysanthemum that Boba Fett was trying to trigger in that moment? I want you guys to just fill in the story there. What was running through that Wookiee's mind?
Okay, what if there was a situation where they were together and Black Chrysanthemum and Boba Fett were maybe like drinking or something, and they ended up stumbling out, and a guard, I don't know, duped him in some way and pushed him, and he woke up in a death pit with a horrible hangover.
So they stumbled all the way to a new planet. They had quite a binger.
They were on the planet.
And then they ran into a narcoleptic Trandoshan who was pissed that you woke up. Or I'm thinking sleepwalker. It's not supposed to wake up a sleepwalker. They woke up a Trandoshan, got pissed off, and pushed them. They were conveniently on the edge of a death pit.
Yes, I don't know why I turned this into a just wild night out.
Yeah,
I want to see this in one of these flashback does in episode 3. I want him to go in the back and remember this crazy trip.
Yeah.
What if similar in the same vein as Angelica, they went out drinking, the Wookiee got smashed, they're walking around outside, they see a very hairy Trandoshan soldier, and the Wookiee starts hitting on it and starts rubbing on it, and then the soldier gets freaked out, chases them all the way near to a death pit, and then they end up like laughing about it after the fact.
I think
I do like that it's a positive thing between the two of them. He's trying to say, don't beat me up, friend. We had this crazy night together.
Exactly.
What if, like Angelica and Eddie, they went for a few drinks at the bar and they were like, hey, he's asleep, let's go steal his ship. And they steal his ship and they drive it directly into another building.
There you go.
And then when they wake up,
And that's how Boba Fett got so good at teaching people how to drive, right? It all came full
That's
circle.
right.
They did not get far at all. They maybe got like a couple of yards.
Because no great story started with water. Just so we're saying. Yeah.
No.
right.
They were at the bar.
They all end in the water. Yeah.
They all end in the water.
Yep.
That's right.
I think that, I think this Lizard's behind it. I think that Lizard's now the most powerful character in Star Wars because Boba's like, I don't know if that Lizard was part of the dream or not. This is like, he just got freaking, what am I thinking of? He got roofied with a lizard, I think, is what happened at the end of that episode. And this lizard jumps from nostril to nostril on Tatooine, making people do crazy stuff. And they both had this ayahuasca lizard just kind of walk them out of the desert. Boba is an old friend of this lizard. He has no idea. But, this lizard is jumped from Black Chrysanthemum's nostril to Boba's nostril and made them do really hot stuff to each other.
There you
just
go.
like the nastiest stuff.
So
stuff
some
that
nostril
we're not on the
hopping.
show.
New Rockstars After Dark. Here we go. We're starting.
Right.
There it is.
It's like me and you and everyone we know. They just went nostril to nostril, and then just like they traded this lizard as they were putting their nostrils to each other and just going in and then out and in and out, and they connected.
This imagery is gonna haunt my dreams.
Nothing like a good
nightmares.
lizard
I
exchange.
think it's gonna make your dreams better. I think these are the dreams I want. You know, for once, can I have like
Voss is like, I get the
clone
point.
dream?
There we
I
go.
get the point for weird lizard.
I get the
no
point.
sex.
There you go. Give
I
yourself a
get
rogie.
the points for my lizard
Hey,
manga sex.
I don't want to be on this
Yes.
show.
Oh,
if we
man,
reward
it's getting
people
wild
with
in
that
here.
theory. If we
I'm
ever
the
reward
winner
people
of
for that
Rogue Theory this
There
week.
we go.
No, just kidding. Jessica's the winner. I like her story a lot. That was fun.
There you go.
But you're all winners, guys. You helped us fix Morbius. You helped us figure out who that cameo was supposed to be to get the wizard logic making more sense in No Way Home. I'm proud of us. We did it. We're starting off right here
There
in
we go.
January 2022. We're shooting this on January 6th. But rather than starting problems that'll haunt us for a year, we're giving us some nice lizard sex dreams that'll haunt us for a year. And that for that, I'm thankful.
There we go.
Thankful for all of you. I love you guys. Well, support all three of these heroes on their many projects. We got Jessica Clemons, Lulu_Clements. We got Angelica Trae, A-Trae. We got Eddie Villanueva at Film Lost First podcast. Support all of them. They're doing amazing work out there. And support us with our merch. You can get this stupid shirt at newrockstarsmerch.com. If I see you in public and you're wearing that shirt, I have to give you a high five. Maybe right now I'll have an M95. I'll give you a fist bump. But
There you
a
go.
high five might be too much. But in April, maybe. If you got some thoughts on our rogue theories, you can share them on our Discord. If you're over 18, just support New Rockstars. You can head on over to the New Rockstars Discord server, join the conversation. Great way you can weigh in, and you can follow me, Eddie Voss, follow New Rockstars, subscribe to New Rockstars wherever you get your podcasts. My brain is breaking now because I keep thinking about that lizard, but you support us here on YouTube. I keep saying support us. You've already supported us by sticking around this late into a video. God bless you, and God bless everyone. See you next time. Bye, everybody.
God bless America.
Bye.